Okay.
गाते Hello and welcome to Mommy. In this video clip that you just watched, my baby girl was 5 months old. The first 3 months of our life were a blur and I struggled to find a connect with her. It was only around the 5th month that I really found myself in this connection. I'm talking to you in this video about connecting to our children through conscious parenting. I'm talking to you about parenting from within. Because as parents, we fix the behavior of our children without having to go through that transformation and that change within ourselves. First, conscious parenting is harder than one thinks it is. But in fact, it is that type of parenting that offers us a choice to make or break, foster or freeze our child's soul. As dramatic as this sounds, we believe and we are fooled into believing that we are the ones who are raising our children. In fact, they are the ones who are raising us to be the parents that they want us to be. Children are often able to remind us of our emotional past and evoke deeply conscious feelings. We unconsciously generate situations in which we feel the way we did as children ourselves, or we may desperately struggle to avoid this. We fail to integrate the unintegrated aspects of our childhood, and our children offer us a reflection of this failure from time to time. But they are in fact providing us with the opportunities to recognize unconsciousness and to break free from our early conditioning. Parenting unconsciously is where it all begins. Our children pay a heavy price when we lack consciousness, as then we enslave them to the emotional inheritance we received from the generations before us. We bind them with our own unmet needs, unfulfilled dreams, and unmet expectations that come from our unconsciousness. Recent research demonstrated that a child's ability to connect with his or her parent comes from the parent's strong connection with his or her own early life experiences. A conscious parent does not look outside the parenting relationship for answers, but is confident that the answers can be found for both parent and child within the parent-child dynamic. Clinical psychiatrist, author, professor and neuroscience expert Daniel Siegel proposed the terms vertical integration, horizontal integration, and temporal integration. When the more complex reflective and conceptual processing of the anatomically higher cerebral cortex or thinking brain is combined with the more basic emotional and motivational drives of the basic brain, we achieve the ability to respond from a vertically integrated state. Responding to a tantrum while remaining calm and collected is an example. Horizontal integration is when the right and left halves of the brain are connected. Explaining something logical through creative storytelling is an example. Using this type of an integration, we can create coherent narratives to make sense of our lives. Coherent narratives are the best predictors of a child having a secure attachment with a parent, and hence may be at the heart of a parent's ability to provide a nurturing environment and a secure base. Temporal integration is what connects processes across time. Narrating stories to children connect the events of the past with the present and the anticipated future. Stories are a way in which adults and children alike connect with each other. Using dolls, props, puppets, drawing pictures can often help kids understand what has happened to them and what may happen to them. Storytelling greatly reduces distress and allows them an opportunity to make sense of their experiences. Our Our kids pick up a great deal from how we embrace them each morning, how we react when they make a mess, how we handle ourselves in a conflict, how we sit and talk to them, whether we really look at what they're showing us, and whether we take interest in what they say. Nurturing relationships involves the sharing and amplification of positive experiences and soothing and reduction of negative experiences. Attuning to your child's emotions can mean getting down on his or her level, having an open and receptive demeanor, looking at what he or she has brought to show you, and expressing curiosity and enthusiasm in your tone of voice.
Mom, here's what, babies. Could we have what Freddy and what Billy and what Belle? So, their names are Freddy, Belly, and Belle.
Freddy, Belly, and Belle. Oh, I like those names.
Freddy, Belly, and Belle.
Okay. When a parent resonates with the child's emotion, the child's experience of himself or herself is that he or she is good. Daniel Siegel calls non-verbal emotions as primary emotions. Connecting to primary emotional states is how we tune into each other's feelings. Communication that involves an awareness of our own emotions, an ability to respectfully share our emotions, and an empathic understanding of our children's emotions lays a foundation that supports the building of our lifelong relationships with our children. Learning to communicate and listen empathetically is a vital part of parenting. At the heart of this openness is parental presence, the receptive state in which we take in signals from others and have compassion and kindness in our interactions. Studies performed across many cultures suggest that a common element in healthy attachments is the ability of a parent and child to have a reciprocal give and take of signals. This is called contingent communication and means that signals sent by the child are directly perceived and responded to by the parent in a dance of communication that involves mutual collaboration. To be able to be conscious and present with our children, we must learn to be conscious and present with ourselves. The idea is to sit with the emotion and experience it in its entirety. We are often functioning on an autopilot, and categorically negative emotions are brought to our awareness by behavior that projects our feelings outward, and we end up hurting our children with our words or actions. Truly feeling an emotion is to experience it without talking about it. To be fully present, one needs to neither vent it nor deny it, but simply contain it. When we accept life as is and understand that everything may not go according to plan, but situations will have their own will, we begin to experience life in its true sense. By silently witnessing our thoughts and emotions in stillness, we learn to accept them as they are, and then we enter a state of as is. Writing our emotions down as they are experienced without having to worry about being judged allows us a completely new perspective into them. This helps us create a little distance from our emotions, and as we step out to watch what we are experiencing, we realize how much we attach ourselves to these emotions. Writing them down simply loosens the hold our emotions and ego have on us. We realize that these are just thoughts, and mere thoughts cannot overwhelm us. When we practice sitting in silence, we sit with our eyes closed and focus on our breathing. As we simply notice our breath, we feel more present and in the moment. This requires practice, and initially it may seem as though our mind is crowded with thoughts and it is hard to concentrate. But as we continue to practice this, it helps center us. we recognize that thoughts can ebb and flow and are impermanent. They do not define us. Mindfulness simply means being present. There is no manual that can offer answers to day-to-day situations that arise in the life of a parent. When we begin to know ourselves in an open and self-supportive way, we then take the first steps in encouraging our children to know themselves. Daniel Siegel suggests the use of the acronym COAL, which means being curious, open, accepting, and loving. We can easily lose ourselves to the various roles we play, but we need to remind ourselves that before being a mum or a dad, a daughter or a son, a daughter-in-law or a son-in-law, a friend, and so on, we are a separate life. I am me before I can be anything else. Parenting can rob us many a times of this feeling of identity that we had before becoming a parent. The frustration, anger, void, disbelief, and loneliness that comes with it can consume our sense of being present. We are so busy playing all these roles and getting through our days that we forget to focus on turning inwards. Our own early life experiences and life learning has a tremendous impact on the way we parent if we are unable to disconnect from it. Engaging in some form of self-care is essential to begin to connect with ourselves. It could simply mean sipping a drink without having to think of anything else. The hardest part of practicing this technique is the guilt that it brings. But over time, we may begin to realize that this technique is extremely powerful in allowing us to live in the moment. We learn to accept our strengths and faults alike and take complete responsibility for our own feelings. Our children don't intend to trigger us. They are being who they should be, while we are being who we shouldn't be. The most common complaint that we may have is that our children do not obey us. They fail to fall in the plan that we made for them. But let's ask ourselves, are they supposed to fall in any plan? It is usually our interpretation of the situation that triggers us and sets the stage for dysfunction, not their action. By disobeying us, they threaten our authority, and when we feel threatened, that becomes the real issue for a trigger. We must acknowledge the mood because we are allowed to be in the mood. We must try to experience the emotion but not react or fight against it. We stay neutral and simply voice our displeasure or discomfort to our children using a firm but respectful tone of voice. We must relinquish control and accept the situation with an open mind. This creates an opportunity for us to learn from the situation instead of judging it. Often we may learn that our children are only curious and do not intend to upset us. Dr. Sabari gives parents a mantra, "It is what it is." She suggests that we parent our children as they are and not as we want them to be. We have to accept our children in their as-is form. Once we have accepted our children in an as-is state, then even in the middle of their worst tantrums, we may see a pause emerging. Through this pause, we can then respond instead of reacting. Children are naturally present beings. They are absorbed in whatever they do, and sometimes waiting for them can feel forever. But the reality is that their brains shut out any other sounds that can possibly distract them from the task at hand. Transitioning from one activity to the next is where the difficulty then arises. We must remind ourselves that this is not about us. Our children aren't disrespecting us but are simply engrossed in the moment. To redirect their attention, We must join them in their moment. Joining in the fun makes it easier for us to bring them out of it. When we parent consciously, we realize that we're not creating mini versions of ourselves, but in fact, we're creating a free life with its own identity. As parents, it is important that we lead our lives separate from those of our children and at the same time experience this connection through that separation. I hope that I have informed you through my video, and if you like the content, please share it with your friends and family. If you'd like to know more about this topic, I have mentioned the link to my blog in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you next week.